God does not play dice. Never lose a holy curiosity. Information is not knowledge. God always takes the simplest way. Love is a better teacher than duty. I love to travel, but hate to arrive. The faster you go, the shorter you are. Anger dwells only in the bosom of fools. The man of science is a poor philosopher. I have just got a new theory of eternity. The only real valuable thing is intuition. Force always attracts men of low morality. The only source of knowledge is experience. God may be subtle, but he isn't plain mean. You can't blame gravity for falling in love. The environment is everything that isn't me. Once we accept our limits, we go beyond them. Imagination is more important than knowledge. When the solution is simple, God is answering. Coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. An empty stomach is not a good political advisor. Only a life lived for others is a life worthwhile. It is only to the individual that a soul is given. Weakness of attitude becomes weakness of character. I never think of the future. It comes soon enough. Intellectuals solve problems. Geniuses prevent them. I used to go away for weeks in a state of confusion. Strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value. You cannot simultaneously prevent and prepare for war. I have no special talent. I am only passionately curious. Before God we are all equally wise and equally foolish. It is a miracle that curiosity survives formal education. I shall never believe that God plays dice with the world. Gravitation is not responsible for people falling in love. A person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. Reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. I am enough of an artist to draw freely upon my imagination. Memory is deceptive because it is colored by today's events. Sometimes one pays most for the things one gets for nothing. Pure mathematics is, in its way, the poetry of logical ideas. Politics is for the present, but an equation is for eternity. The true sign of intelligence is not knowledge, but imagination. The hardest thing to understand in the world is the income tax. All religions arts, and sciences are branches of the same tree. I want to know all God's thoughts. All the rest are just details. The only thing that interferes with my learning is my education. Morality is of the highest importance, but for us, not for God. Let every man be respected as an individual and no man idolized. Anyone who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new. Everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. Joy in looking and comprehending is nature's most beautiful gift. It is strange to be known so universally and yet to be so lonely. Nationalism is an infantile disease. It is the measles of mankind. Never do anything against conscience, even if the state demands it. It should be possible to explain the laws of physics to a barmaid. Everyone should be respected as an individual, but no one idolized. We cannot despair of humanity, since we ourselves are human beings. If you are out to describe the truth, leave elegance to the tailor. You can never solve a problem on the level on which it was created. The high destiny of the individual is to serve rather than to rule. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. A man should look for what is, and not for what he thinks should be. Science without religion is lame. Religion without science is blind. Intellectual growth should commence at birth, and cease only at death. Logic will get you from A to B. Imagination will take you everywhere. As far as I'm concerned, I prefer silent vice to ostentatious virtue. Common sense is the collection of prejudices acquired by age 18. Look deep into nature, and then you will understand everything better. The only reason for time is so that everything doesn't happen at once. One may say the eternal mystery of the world is its comprehensibility. It's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with problems longer. A question that sometimes drives me hazy: am I, or are the others crazy? The monotony and solitude of a quiet life stimulates the creative mind. Knowledge of what is does not open the door directly to what should be. Peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding. Few are those who see with their own eyes and feel with their own hearts. True art is characterized by an irresistible urge in the creative artist. People love chopping wood. In this activity, one immediately sees results. It is my conviction that killing under the cloak of war is nothing but an act of murder. The gift of fantasy has meant more to me than my talent for absorbing positive knowledge. The value of a man should be seen in what he gives, and not in what he is able to receive. Confusion of goals and perfection of means seems, in my opinion, to characterize our age. I live in that solitude which is painful in youth, but delicious in the years of maturity. The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. All these primary impulses, not easily described in words, are the springs of man's actions. Whoever is careless with the truth in small matters cannot be trusted with important matters. No amount of experimentation can ever prove me right. A single experiment can prove me wrong. Do not worry about your difficulties in mathematics. I can assure you mine are still greater. The distinction between the past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. Isn't it strange that I, who have written only unpopular books, should be such a popular fellow? In order to be an immaculate member of a flock of sheep, one must above all be a sheep oneself. Any man who reads too much and uses his own brain too little falls into lazy habits of thinking. Anyone who doesn't take truth seriously in small matters cannot be trusted in large ones either. Only two things are infinite, the universe and human stupidity, and I'm not sure about the former. He who can no longer pause to wonder and stand wrapped in awe is as good as dead. His eyes are closed. True religion is real living, living with all one's soul, with all one's goodness and righteousness. I very rarely think in words at all. A thought comes, and I may try to express it in words afterwards. Learn from yesterday, live for today, hope for tomorrow. The important thing is not to stop questioning. The attempt to combine wisdom and power has only rarely been successful, and then only for a short while. Most people say that it is the intellect which makes a great scientist. They are wrong. It is character. There comes a time when the mind takes a higher plane of knowledge, but can never prove how it got there. To the master's honor all must turn, each in its track, without a sound, forever tracing Newton's ground. If people are good only because they fear punishment and hope for reward, then we are a sorry lot indeed. Mozart's music is so pure and beautiful that I see it as a reflection of the inner beauty of the universe. All that is valuable in human society depends upon the opportunity for development accorded the individual. The most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and science. It gives me great pleasure, indeed, to see the stubbornness of an incorrigible nonconformist warmly acclaimed. The fear of death is the most unjustified of all fears, for there's no risk of accident for someone who's dead. There are two ways to live. You can live as if nothing is a miracle. You can live as if everything is a miracle. I believe that a simple and unassuming manner of life is best for everyone, best both for the body and the mind. We should take care not to make the intellect our goal. It has, of course, powerful muscles, but no personality. Any man who can drive safely while kissing a pretty girl is simply not giving the kiss the attention it deserves. I know not with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. I think and think for months and years 99 times. The conclusion is false the 100th time I am right. Whoever undertakes to set himself up as a judge of truth and knowledge is shipwrecked by the laughter of the gods. The pursuit of truth and beauty is a sphere of activity in which we are permitted to remain children all our lives. I cannot imagine a God who rewards and punishes the objects of his creation and is but a reflection of human frailty. The devil has put a penalty on all things we enjoy in life. Either we suffer in health, or we suffer in soul, or we get fat. Nothing is more destructive of respect for the government and the law of the land than passing laws which cannot be enforced. Put your hand on a hot stove for a minute, and it seems like an hour. Sit with a pretty girl for an hour, and it seems like a minute. The unleashed power of the atom has changed everything save our modes of thinking, and we thus drift toward unparalleled catastrophe. The release of atomic energy has not created a new problem. It has merely made more urgent the necessity of solving an existing one. I want to go when I want. It is tasteless to prolong life artificially. I have done my share. It is time to go. I will do it elegantly. As far as the laws of mathematics refer to reality, they are not certain, and as far as they are certain, they do not refer to reality. The world is a dangerous place to live, not because of the people who are evil, but because of the people who don't do anything about it. heroism on command, senseless violence, and all the loathsome nonsense that goes by the name of patriotism. How passionately I hate them. Most of the fundamental ideas of science are essentially simple and may, as a rule, be expressed in a language comprehensible to everyone. One strength of the communist system of the East is that it has some of the character of a religion and inspires the emotions of a religion. Our task must be to free ourselves by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature and its beauty. When you are courting a nice girl an hour seems like a second. When you sit on a red-hot cinder a second seems like an hour. That's relativity. Only one who devotes himself to a cause with his whole strength and soul can be a true master. For this reason mastery demands all of a person. Too many of us look upon Americans as dollar chasers. This is a cruel libel, even if it is reiterated thoughtlessly by the Americans themselves. If I were not a physicist, I would probably be a musician. I often think in music. I live my daydreams in music. I see my life in terms of music. It stands to the everlasting credit of science that by acting on the human mind it has overcome man's insecurity before himself and before nature. I do not believe in the immortality of the individual, and I consider ethics to be an exclusively human concern with no superhuman authority behind it. To raise new questions, new possibilities, to regard old problems from a new angle, requires creative imagination and marks real advance in science. The grand aim of all science is to cover the greatest number of empirical facts by logical deduction from the smallest number of hypotheses or axioms. That deep emotional conviction of the presence of a superior, reasoning power, which is revealed in the incomprehensible universe, forms my idea of God. I do not believe that civilization will be wiped out. In a war fought with the atomic bomb, perhaps two-thirds of the people of the earth will be killed. In matters of truth and justice, there is no difference between large and small problems, for issues concerning the treatment of people are all the same. I am not only a pacifist, but a militant pacifist. I am willing to fight for peace. Nothing will end war unless the people themselves refuse to go to war. Concern for man and his fate must always form the chief interest of all technical endeavors. Never forget this in the midst of your diagrams and equations. Occurrences in this domain are beyond the reach of exact prediction because of the variety of factors in operation, not because of any lack of order in nature. There could be no fairer destiny for any physical theory than that it should point the way to a more comprehensive theory in which it lives on as a limiting case. He who joyfully marches to music in rank and file has already earned my contempt. He has been given a large brain by mistake, since for him the spinal cord would suffice. There is no logical way to the discovery of these elemental laws. There is only the way of intuition, which is helped by a feeling for the odor lying behind the appearance. My religion consists of a humble admiration of the illimitable superior spirit who reveals himself in the slight details we are able to perceive with our frail and feeble mind. Few people are capable of expressing with equanimity opinions which differ from the prejudices of their social environment. Most people are even incapable of forming such opinions. Reading, after a certain age, diverts the mind too much from its creative pursuits. Any man who reads too much and uses his own brain too little falls into lazy habits of thinking.